everyone, CM1, welcome to lesson 16. And today we are starting a new unit 4, and our new theme is how often do you do yoga? So it's here in the book, how often do you do yoga? Can you repeat? One more time. How often do you do yoga? Okay, good job. Okay, before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about frequency, okay? Frequency is how many times. Can you say that? How many times? So it's almost as like you're counting, right? How many times? Frequency. Another way to say how many times would be to say, how often do you? Can you say that? How often do you? Right. So now when somebody asks the questions, how often do you, in your mind, think about how many times, okay? Think about the amount of time. How many times? That is frequency. Okay, let's look at examples of frequency questions. How often do you eat out? Or how often do you eat at a restaurant? Okay, so you can answer and say, I eat out once a week, or I eat out 3 times a week, or I eat out, I never eat out, or I seldom eat out. Okay, so you can use that. You can use numbers to answer, or you can use frequency words like always, never, sometimes, usually, hardly, ever. Okay, right. So how often do you eat out? Number 2, another example would be, how often do you eat ice cream? So you think, how many times do you eat ice cream? So you'd be like, I sometimes eat ice cream, because you don't always eat it, but sometimes. Or you can say, I eat ice cream twice a month. Okay, so that would be the same as sometimes. Another question, example, how often do you go exercising? Let me think. I never go exercising, or I always go exercising. So if it's always, then it's mostly almost all the days of the week. Or I hardly ever go exercising. So you can say, I exercise 5 times a year. So that's hardly ever. Okay. Next question. How often do you study? 100%, I always study. 70%, I usually study. 60%, I sometimes study. 20%, I hardly ever study. Okay? So you can use the frequency words, always, never, sometimes, never, hardly ever, or you can use numbers. I study twice a week. I study once a week. I study on the weekend. I study 3 times a week. You answer the questions and you give us an idea of how many times. Next example would be, how often do you visit your parents, right? Most of us, if we were back in school, if there was no COVID-19, would be staying in dormitory or apartment near the school, right? So how often do you visit your parents? So you can say something like, I visit my parents 4 times a month, or I sometimes, or I usually visit my parents, right? You give us an idea. Okay, 6. How often do you wear your mask? Face mask, right? Since we have COVID-19. Let me see if I can find mine. So, let me find it. How often do you wear your mask? Face mask, okay? So, I always wear my mask. That would be 100% frequency. I usually wear my mask, 80%, 70%. I rarely wear my mask, that's 20%, which is bad, because when we go to crowded places, we have to wear our masks, okay? So now I hope you understand frequency a little bit bit better, okay? You can also think of frequency in terms of percentages, as I told you, as 100% would be always 90%, 98, always 80, 70, 60, usually, and then it goes down. You can think of frequency in terms of percentages or quantity. How many times? Okay. If you still don't understand very well what frequency is about, don't worry. The introduction video will explain better than me. You will understand clearly. So now I want you to go to LMS and follow the link to the introduction video. And the title is How Often Do You? It deals with adverbs of frequency. So once you watch the video, they will give you examples and you will see, aha, this is easy. Frequency, how often do you? It explains everything in a very simple way. Okay, right, good job. So when you are finished with the video, I'm just going to give you 5 questions to answer, and you will answer using the frequency words I will give you. I'm going to give you always, usually, sometimes, never, hardly ever. So let's do like 2 examples. If my question is, how often do you brush your teeth? Then you say, I always brush my teeth, right? You use the words that I gave you, but choose one word to give your answer. If you always brush your teeth, use the word always. Okay, if you never brush your teeth, that's bad. But be honest, I never brush my teeth. Okay, next example of a question would be, how often do you come late to class? I sometimes come late for class, right? You use the words. Or I never come late to class. Or I hardly ever come late to class. Or I sometimes come late to class. Okay, so you're going to use the words of frequency that I give you to answer those 5 questions. Okay, good job. And now we're going to turn to our student books. SB's page 24, the beginning of our new unit, Unit 4, how often do you do yoga? Okay, we have a vocabulary box in number 1. Number 1, vocabulary box, okay? So we have words here. I'm going to say the words, please repeat after me. In fact, I will say the word, then I will make the sentence with frequency and you guys will repeat. Swimming, swimming. How often do you go swimming? Okay, good. Next one. Soccer, that's B. Soccer. How often do you play soccer? C. Biking, biking. How often do you go biking? D. Weightlifting, weightlifting. How often do you do weightlifting? Good. E. Basketball, basketball. How often do you play basketball? F. Martial arts, martial arts. How often do you do martial arts? Good. G. Running, running. How often do you go running? H. Yoga, yoga. And it is our topic. Let's all read together. How often do you do yoga? Okay, so we have 3 categories. It's either you go, how often do you go? Or how often do you do? Or how often do you play? Okay, some things in the list you can't play but you can do. Some things you can do but you can't play. And some things you can go but you can't play and you can't do. So you need to know the right words. Okay, so once you are finished repeating with me the vocabulary words, please fill in the correct letter and follow the picture. Look at the activity and fill in the correct letter for number 1. That should take you less than 1 minute. It's easy. And then number 2, complete the charts with the activities in the picture. So we have go, we have do, we have play. So you look here. What things do you go? Okay, go swimming. Example, how often do you go swimming? So look for another thing that you can go. So say in your mind first, how often do you go soccer? Doesn't sound good. How often do you play soccer? Oh, yeah, sounds good, right? So look for another thing. How often do you go? And then next one, how often do you do martial arts? Okay, look for something else that you do and write it down. Play, how often do you play? And look for something that you can play and write it down. Okay, so 3 things: go, do, and play. But I want you to put 2 answers, not 1, 2. So 2 more things, 2 more things, 2 more things. Okay, good job. Okay, so please first read and make sure it makes sense. Okay, you can't go yoga, but you can do yoga. You can't do soccer, but you can play soccer. You can't play swimming, but you can go swimming. Okay, so first say the sentence, and if it sounds wrong, then don't write it. Okay, make sure it sounds right. Okay, then number 3, you have to do number 3. I am going to change the activities, and then you will do the answer. Okay, so it says here, do you go swimming? So you have to answer yes I do or no I don't. I will change. Maybe I will say, do you play basketball? Then you have to answer yes I play basketball or no I don't play basketball. Okay, good. So I am going to give you two questions that you have to answer for number 3 in question 24. Okay, right. Good job, everyone. Now let's go to our workbooks. Okay, let's turn to page 20 in our workbooks. Let's go to page 20. How often do you do yoga? How often do you do yoga? And then we are going to be doing number 1 and number 2. Okay, so number 1, we have the vocabulary. Please write down the activities. Okay, and check your book. Check here, it will help you. Check here to help you with your homework. Look at these activities here, and then here on the workbook, you find the picture, you look there and you fill in the answer. What is it? Okay, and then when you are finished, please do number 2. Complete the questions with go, do, or play. Okay, remember, some things you can do, some things you can play, some activities you can go. Okay, so you can't do all 3, pick one. Okay, and then at the bottom here, at this box, please answer the questions about you. Okay, the information. Okay, so you will look here, number 1. Okay, do you do martial arts? The answer is already there, so circle your answer. If yes I do, then circle that. Number 2, do you basketball? So you have to choose. Do you go basketball? Do you do basketball? Or do you play basketball? And then you have to answer, yes, I basketball, or no, I don't basketball. Number 3, do you skating? Yes, I skating. Go, do, or play, right? And answer all these questions here about yourself. Okay. Good job. Okay, and that's the end of the lesson. Please check you can even do your homework just by listening to this video without going to LMS if you listen properly. But later you can go to LMS and you will find your homework under assignments and your classwork. Okay, everyone, please have a nice day and see you next lesson. Goodbye.